Okay, this is the last video for the high posture in Meyer's longsword. This is actually a counter to the high posture. So as always, I will read you the translation, my mental shorthand, and then how I'm practicing it on the pelt. So here's the translation. If you perceive that after your opponent has slashed up over his head, he's inclined to linger a bit in the guard of the day, then come in the onset into the guard of the key. From there, raise both hands thus crosswise over your head, and at the same time, step with your right foot toward him, and with the step, slash through with the short edge by your right thigh through your opponent's scalp line, strongly up from below, so that your opponent flies above your head, back from your left to his right for a low cut, keeping your hands up and parrying. When it connects, then step quickly with your right foot to his left, and cut with the short edge deep in his left ear in an arc. From there, deliver 2 low cuts in a row, then strike with a thwart cut at his right ear, and step simultaneously with your right foot back behind your left, thus the thwart goes that much deeper. When this has taken place, then you can at once cut away from him. So there's a few pieces on this one. The key is a secondary posture in Meyer's longsword. So it's kind of like you were in an ox position and then you allowed this to come down and rest so that the flat is on your arm. This is the key. And what Meyer is telling us to do is if the opponent is pulled up into the high guard, we're going to counter that with this key position, and we're going to start our step by leading with this crossed arms above our head. So this gives us a bit of a point threatening and then a defense if they decide to cut down at us. And we're going to transition this into a back edge cut by our right thigh, and it says up through the scalp line, so we're going to cut up. So we're going to cross, cut up, and we're going to continue this motion to a low cut with high hands like we've seen many other times. From here, we're going to step out to the right with the back edge cut to their ear. We're going to do 2 low cuts. Then we're going to leave with the thwart cut. So this is going to be a true edge thwart cut to their right, back stepping so that we get an extra long angle. And then he says you can cut away from there. So it's not a super complicated play. If you've been following along in the videos, hopefully what you've noticed by now is that there are many different plays, but Meyer tends to favor a few common motions, and this key and then raising into the crossed hands is one of those motions that we're going to see a lot. So my mental shorthand is key, cross parry, back edge, low cut, back edge, low cut, thwart with the big pivot. That's kind of my mental shorthand. So when I practice it on the lapel, I'll get in this key position. And one of the things that I think is important is I want to make sure that I'm leading, I'm creating the motion of my sword with a pivot. So if I'm in this key, this kind of low, kind of mid-level point forward guard, and I want to raise my cross hands above it, I want to be in a good position in case they just come right down with a cut. So I like to use the pivot motion to give myself a nice skeletal structure. So I'm not just going to reach out with my arms and leave my body behind. I'm going to pivot, which if I do end up catching a cut, it's going to give me a nice strong position. And then I'm going to let this back edge cut along my right thigh, straight up. And then again, that low cut with the high hands, back edge to the ear, 2 low cuts, and leaving with the thwart cut. So when I'm practicing it on the lapel, I'm going to make sure that I'm driving with the body, back edge cut, rising to the low cut on the left with the high hands, step over for that cut to their ear, low cut number 1, low cut number 2, and you can see I'm doing this slightly offline footwork. And then when I throw this last thwart cut, I'm going to push the pommel, and I actually like to give a little step into it because I'm trying to get my thwart cut as far around the lapel as I can. So I don't want to stay on the line and throw just the shallow cut. I want to see how far around I can get. And that's why Meyer says with this back cutting, this back stepping, it's gonna cut that much more deeply. So let me do it one more time to the camera, and then I'll do it again to the lapel. So key position, pivoting with crossed hands, raising back edge cut, low cut, back edge cut, low, thwart with the big pivot. And then you can cut away. So again, when I do this on the lapel, in the key position, pivot, cut, low cut, back edge cut, low cut, big important pivot. And I can cut away. So that's how I practice this play, which is a counter to the high guard. Next week we'll get into the first play from the Zorn Hut.